plummeting after Ted, and Johnson withdrew from the 1968 presidential race.
I pledge to you, we shall have an honorable end to the war in Vietnam.
Richard Nixon won the election, promising peace with honor. The public had been led to believe that he had a secret plan to end the war.
At least you're a Red Sox fan. That's a good thing.
Free. That's what they taught me.
What city is this? Willimantic, Connecticut. Willimantic, Connecticut.
All I've seen and known. 24 bright light, I'm almost done.
Thank you all for coming. Speakers will be starting in a number of moments right in front of the front gate. Please take water, which is underneath the white tent. There will be no water on the march otherwise.
Underneath the white tent.
Sorry about that. Thank you for coming.
All right, everybody to march for Bradley!
Why did you come here today?
When I became a federal prosecutor, I took an oath to defend the Constitution. I'm here defending it.
Nice. And what do you hope will happen as a result?
I don't hope very much. I mean, I just don't hope. I do, and I look at the results.
Why do you think this issue is so important?
It's very simple. The American government lied us into war, kept us in war. I mean, we have been committing the same war crimes that we prosecuted at Nuremberg. We are committing the same crimes. We have committed the same crimes that the Allies prosecuted at Nuremberg. And that does not sit well with me.
So you really feel that the United States has really, there's been a qualitative difference in what's going on at the federal level over the course of your career?
Of course. Of course. When I used to go into court, and I retired in 1999, I could go into court, I could stand up, I could say, Sarah McKee for the United States. And I felt that I had the moral authority of the universe behind me. I would not be able to do that today.
Hello? It's a different country.
Hello? Marilyn? Hello? Marilyn?
We've been doing things we ought not to have done.
Yeah.
They are unconstitutional, they are illegal, they are immoral, and that's why I'm here.
You know what?
And how do you think that relates specifically to Bradley Manning?
Bradley pulled back the veil on the man behind the curtain and showed the world what the United States and many other countries too. We were not the only country who got embarrassed by WikiLeaks or deserved to be embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean, I saw people.
Unlike our present chief executive, I believe in innocent until proven guilty.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Bill Potvin, and I'd just like to say if Bradley Manning was my son, I would be proud of him. Unfortunately, Brad made the mistake of thinking that moral law overrode military law. We know that's true, but it doesn't work in the military, so they're throwing the book at him, and it's a horrible injustice.
If our nation had listened to Bradley Manning 3 years ago, shared with us the Afghan war diaries, we would be surrounded by
has a lot of resistance. Bradley Manning is a hero of that resistance. I'm here really not to protest the abuse that he's been subject to as a victim, but to celebrate his willingness to risk his life in prison in order to put out the word of our government's abuse of people all over the world. I'm amazed to hear that they're not even providing a transcript for the trial for people to see. They're trying to keep it under wraps as much as possible. So they're trying to keep the trial secret as much as possible, which is not the American way. The papers that I revealed, which are top secret, revealed high-level decision-making that lied us into the war in Vietnam. And they did a lot to remove the sense of legitimacy of the war continually. In Bradley's case, he had access to top secret and even higher, but he didn't put any of that out. What he put out was information that shows field level crimes, war crimes, of a kind that the Pentagon Papers didn't go into. Actual domestic crimes, torture, murder, assassination, which actually could bring President Obama or President Bush before the International Criminal Court at The Hague. There is a political possibility of that. Short of that, Bradley Manning did in fact have more effect in getting troops out of Iraq in the short run than I did in getting troops out of Vietnam. The war went on in my case for 4 more years. Without Bradley Manning, there would be tens of thousands of Americans in Iraq right now, and many of them would have died. So he deserves recognition for having saved American lives, not for having endangered any of them.
I'll just ask you one question. Okay. How would you relate Bradley Manning's situation to your experience?
It is true what Kevin D said.
Well, Bradley Manning and I both have very unusual stories and very different stories, but basically governments use people. The Iranian government tried to use myself and my friends to extract concessions from the U.S. government, and the U.S. government is using Bradley Manning to set an example and to discourage other people from acting on their conscience and whistleblowing in the future. Bradley Manning and I were both also psychologically tortured in prolonged solitary confinement, and Bradley Manning was, the reason for him being in solitary confinement was for his own protection, which is something I also heard from my captors in Iran. That
you mean the justification?
The justification they used was for protection. They said that solitary confinement was, he was on suicide watch and that he was a risk, even though he had several psychiatrists say that he wasn't suicidal. The real reason that Bradley Manning was in solitary confinement was to break him and to hopefully get him to confess or to implicate Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, which he didn't do. Broken prisoners are easy to control, and torture that Bradley Manning had to endure is something that I relate to, and I feel very strongly that we should all be horrified by. And it's also something very widespread across our country, unfortunately. The United States has more people in solitary confinement than any country in the world.
And more people in prison, at least on a per capita basis, for sure. Thank you very much, Sarah. And I'm so glad you and your friends are home safe.
Thank you.
So I had an opportunity last week to have a talk with President Obama. Some people said getting into the National Defense University when he was making a major talk about U.S. policy and interrupting the president was rude. What do you think? Very necessary to tell the president. Around Guantanamo, you don't have to hide behind the cloak of Congress. You can free those prisoners who are already cleared for release. That's right. And around the drone strikes, you could just do the right thing, which is down those damn drones. We don't need them. We don't want them. We will free you.
Whether you're a boy, got a big boy standing in the street, 'cause you're gonna be free way ahead. They got you all in chains. So disgraceful, just because you hear about the human race. We will free you.
Well, what brings you here today?
What brings me here today is the fact that we're about to witness a kangaroo trial, secret testimony of classified material that cannot be challenged, secret witnesses that will be testifying behind either screens or some other device to cloak their identity, and a judge that basically has allowed the use of solitary confinement as a okay pre-trial confinement without dismissing charges. The outcome is predicted. The military is just trying to make themselves look as good as possible, and the media is not here in any attendance, and that's why we're here, basically, for some potentially being paid for this.
What brings you down here today, Larry?
Well, sense of outrage that the person who exposed war crimes is being tried for treason, in effect, in which the people who perpetrated and caused the war crimes are out scot-free. So I think this is a show trial, a political trial, and it's an outrageous affront to justice. So that's why I'm here. Completely contradictory, hypocritical, and disastrous for every ideal I think the United States ought to stand for. It's a terrible situation.
I just got back last night, and let me tell you what the face of America is in those countries. With the exception of Bradley Manning, the face of America in all the countries of the world is pretty pitiful, because our face is as warmongers, our face is killers across the world. But the bright light is in every one of those countries, and in virtually every country of the world, there's a Bradley Manning support group. Yeah. So what we're doing here in the United States to stand with our fellow citizen is being reflected all over the world. That they want America to be the whistleblowers, the people that tell the truth, the people that try to hold their own government accountable, the people that nominate people as truth tellers for, as Maureen McGuire, Nobel Peace Laureate from Northern Ireland, told me yesterday as we took pictures with her with Free Bradley Manning. She said he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize too. So as we stand here in front of a place that I could have spent many years of my life. I spent 29 years in the U.S. military. I served on many military bases like this. That we appeal to this military. We appeal to the court-martial, the woman colonel who's going to be the judge, to say, look deep in your heart. Look what's best for America. Is it to put in jail a 25-year-old kid, a 25-year-old young man, a 25-year-old prophet, a 25-year-old person who has stood for more honesty and justice in our country than the senior leadership of this whole country. That's right. Yeah. So as from one colonel to another colonel, I asked her to really look deep, to look at really what the law says. The law says that we have to whistleblow on criminal actions that our government is doing. We have to whistleblow on people who have murdered others in other lands. For Bradley Manning, who has not killed anyone, who has saved lives because of the truths that he's told, we demand the United States of America treat him with respect and dignity. And free Bradley Manning! Free Bradley Manning! Free Bradley Manning! Thank you.
I spent 410 days in solitary confinement, and now I'm here to talk to you about why I admire Bradley Manning. Bradley Manning's act of bravery and courage has benefited the entire world. Bradley Manning is being used to set an example so that more whistleblowers, or potential whistleblowers in the future, will be afraid to act.
Bradley Manning is an American hero.
Yeah!
And today, we just did a pride march on Fort Meade, and I declare that Private Bradley Manning is the Grand Marshal of today's all-inclusive Pride Parade. I declare it. I want you to declare it too. Say after me. I declare. I proclaim today, Bradley Manning Day. Gay and straight together. We marched. And we will continue to march. For Bradley Manning. Bradley Manning. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
And let's focus for a minute on why the European press is here. I just asked that from the woman from Finland. She says this is a very big story in Sweden and all over the continent, and I would say around the world. Our presence here, the rally, Bradley Manning in general. How many other videos have you seen of that nature? Of Americans mowing down unarmed civilians? I haven't seen one. None of them have seen one. The one we wouldn't have, no one would have seen that, and they've seen it around the world except for Bradley Manning. Now, that video is part of the charges against him. I was outraged when I was in the courtroom and discovered that they were actually using that video charge against him, which obviously deserved to be out, needed to be out. It was his right to do it. What is this all about? We've seen hardly any of that because ever since the Gulf War, American Pentagon has been very good at keeping Americans from seeing what they're actually doing on the ground, seeing anything but a video show of missiles going up in the air and exploding and whatnot, and not of bodies lying around, unarmed bodies, as Bradley Manning revealed. President Obama has the nerve to say, I ended torture. Well, he has ended torture the same way he has closed Guantanamo, as he keeps saying. What Bradley Manning revealed that we had been turning over thousands of Iraqi prisoners to Iraqi custody, knowing they would be tortured. That is a crime as clearly as torturing them ourselves. It's the same, essentially, legally. He then found that 1,000 approaching orders saying, do not investigate further, do not investigate further. An illegal order, which goes right up to the commander-in-chief on this. So a violation then, naturally people ask, why is Obama doing this? He has been incriminated in impeachable offenses and domestic crimes as much as anybody below him. So in short, many people have asked me today, why are you here? Well, I say first because I personally identify with Bradley Manning and have from the moment of the video coming out and the moment especially that I read the chat logs which got him pulled in, where he said, I'm ready to go to prison for life or even be executed. And I thought, that's how I felt 40 years ago, and I've been waiting 40 years. To hear somebody else say that. And I love your homemade signs here, especially. I see a lot of them. I love all of them. I saw one here, another one that said, truth. Are you manning enough to do it? I love
that. Dave, how was your day at the Bradley Manning rally?
It was a good day for me. I'm 80 years old, but we walked about a mile from where our bus was, and we heard the speakers, and the last speaker was Daniel Ellsberg of the Pentagon Papers fame, a real hero for the American people that told us what was going on in the Vietnam War, which we never would have known from the government. And we're here supporting Bradley Manning, who's another one who's told us to some extent what's going on with the American wars, and the sometimes illegal things that are done. And the hush-hush secrecy that covers everything so that the American people can't know about it. And Bradley apparently was a young person of character who wouldn't keep his mouth shut and just play the soldier, but he went and tried to make available to the public the information that he had gotten as an analyst. Now, some people say, well, he was supposed to keep everything secret. He probably signed agreements and whatnot. Well, that's probably true, but when you find a terrible harm that's being done to the American people by keeping them ignorant about what their own government is doing, I think sometimes that's a higher calling to break whatever promises you made and reveal the information. It's very, it's risky, it's not easy for anybody, and it landed Bradley in jail with our government. who seems to be bent on suppressing any kind of information that doesn't fall into line with what they're trying to do, which apparently is to dominate the world for the large businesses. You know, that's why I'm glad I came here, and I think it was a very good day. It was a wonderful crowd, you know, people who are willing to, you know, to come out in a hot day and travel a long distance and stand for what they believe in. And if we had more Americans do that, we'll have a much better country.
That's what you're always trying to do, is spread, educate, and get it out to more individuals, because very few people are familiar with anything like this. What a job of suppression. How are we doing?
We're alive.
Do you have migration at all?
Here to educate everybody in your neighborhood. Keep thinking about dear Bradley, and we'll represent you this next week at the court martial. Thanks again.
Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.
almost gone.